Okay, let's dive right in. If you've been keeping up with AI, you've probably seen the term AI agents popping up everywhere. So what are they really? Well, they're the next major leap beyond the simple chatbots we've gotten used to. We're moving from just giving single commands to solving complex, multi-step problems.
To really get what's going on, let's just start with a question. What if an AI could actually think in steps, instead of just giving you one-shot answers? This is the fundamental shift we're talking about. Instead of one single massive effort to get something right, imagine an AI that can plan, act, and even learn from its own mistakes. Kind of like a person.
An essay is a perfect way to see the difference. A traditional large language model, an LLM, is like telling it, hey, write me an essay, and boom, it just spits the whole thing out at once. But an AI agent, it works how we work. It actually plans an outline first, then it goes out and researches key points, writes a messy first draft, and then this part is so crucial. It reflects on what it wrote and revises it. It's a whole process, not just a single command.
So let's really dig into this first big idea, moving beyond just a single answer. We're making a shift from simple commands to these complex processes, and that is the absolute core of what makes this technology so incredibly powerful.
The key concept here has a name. It's called the agentic workflow. This is just a way of saying the AI works iteratively. It goes through a cycle of planning something, then acting on that plan, and then observing the result. It's not just generating text anymore, it's actively working towards a goal and tweaking its approach as it goes.
Let's make that essay example even more concrete. An agent would kick things off by outlining the structure. Then, it would use its tools to go research the information it needs. Only after that's done does it write a first draft. And the final, most human step of all, it reflects on its own work and revises it to make it better. Each step is totally distinct and builds on the one before it.
So how does this actually work under the hood? Let's take a look at the engine that drives this whole iterative loop and see how an agent really thinks.
It all comes down to a really simple but powerful cycle called the react loop. First, the agent will reason about what it needs to do next. Then, it will act on that reasoning, usually by using a specific tool. And finally, it will observe the result of that action. That observation then feeds right back into the next round of reasoning. It's this continuous loop of thinking and doing.
Now that act step is the real game changer here. Agents aren't just thinking in a vacuum. They're actively interacting with the digital world using a toolkit. And this toolkit could have anything in it, from a simple web search to querying a massive database, running a piece of code, or even accessing your calendar to book a meeting for you. These tools are what give an agent its real-world superpowers.
Now, if one agent with a toolkit is powerful, what do you think happens when you get a few of them working together? This is where things get really interesting. This is where we start building an AI team, scaling up from just a single worker to a whole coordinated group of specialists.
I absolutely love this quote because it just nails the idea perfectly. You don't hire one super generalist to do everything, you build a team. That is the exact same logic that's behind these multi-agent systems. You create specialized agents that are experts at just one thing, and then you have them collaborate.
For example, let's say we're building a team to create a new marketing brochure. First up is the researcher. This agent's entire job is to dig up market trends and data on competitors. Its toolkit is built for this: web search, document analysis, that kind of thing. It does one job, and it does it really well.
Okay, next, all that research gets handed off to the graphic designer. This agent has a totally different skill set. Its job is to create charts and other visuals, so its toolkit is packed with image generation models and code for plotting data. It takes what the researcher found and makes it visual. And finally, all that research and all those visuals land on the desk of the writer. This agent's specialty is turning raw information into persuasive, compelling copy. It combines the outputs from the other two agents to produce the final, polished marketing brochure. See how each specialist contributes to a final product that's way better than what any single one could do alone?
But with all this power and autonomy comes a pretty big question. How do you make sure the output is actually reliable and safe? That's where we need to add some quality control to make sure this powerful AI is also an AI we can trust.
A key part of this is understanding the difference between knowledge and memory. Knowledge is static. It's like a library of PDFs you give the agent for reference material. But memory is dynamic. It allows an agent to learn from its past actions and from the feedback you give it, so it gets smarter and more aligned with what you want over time.
Now, to prevent errors before they even happen, we use something called guardrails.
Think of it like a quality checkpoint on an assembly line. Before an agent can take a final action, like sending an important email, its proposed output has to pass through this gate. It's a critical safety layer to prevent mistakes or misuse.
And these guardrails can come in a few different flavors. For simple things like checking the length or format of a response, a basic code snippet works great. For more nuanced stuff, like judging the tone or checking for factual consistency, you can actually use another LLM as a judge. And for the most critical decisions, well, the ultimate guardrail is you, a required human approval step.
Okay, so let's bring all this home. What does this mean for the future of how we work, for our own productivity? The big question really becomes, what will you automate? Because the future of getting things done is absolutely agentic.
At the end of the day, the single biggest benefit of AI agents is this: automating complex, tedious, multi-step work to save you hours and hours every single week. We're not just talking about summarizing an article anymore, we're talking about automating entire workflows from start to finish.
And you might be thinking, wow, this sounds incredibly expensive to run. But here's the kicker. It's often the exact opposite. Specialized agentic LLMs can make these workflows dramatically cheaper to run than using those giant one-size-fits-all models. We're talking a potential 5 to 8 times cost discount. That makes running these systems at scale a very real possibility.
So, if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Agentic AI really shines when a task isn't simple. It's for the work that requires iteration, that needs research, or that involves a whole bunch of steps to get to the finish line.
And that leaves us with one final thought. When you look at your own work, your projects, your daily grind, what's the one complex, multi-step task that you would automate first?